What's up, y'all? Jay Roos in the building. Did you hear? The body snatcher says he's back. Who's the body snatcher? Dillian Whyte. Yo, I went to his Instagram and he did this video punching the heavy bag and stuff. You couldn't really see what shape he was in because of he had on some loose fitting clothing, it looked like. But anyway, Dillian Whyte says he's back. So, what does this mean for the heavyweight division? Does anybody care that Dillian Whyte is back? Um, yeah, he missed out on a big opportunity with that rematch with AJ. That was his chance at redemption, his chance at making a lot of money. Could have been on the day of reckoning, perhaps, depending on how he did against AJ. I think he would have got knocked out. You just hit Dillian Whyte with an uppercut, and the trap door opens, like I always say. But what do you guys think about the body snatcher being back? Um, Also, I was watching Showbiz the adult. Shout out to Showbiz, but he did a video, and Devin Haney was saying Ryan Garcia was drunk at the press conference. And I heard Ryan Garcia on another interview talk about that he was high when he was with Nate Diaz. And when you hear Nate Diaz speak, you can tell like something is not clicking perhaps all the way. I mean, he's a bright guy, but his speech is starting to be kind of messed up. And I was saying Ryan Garcia, I was hoping he would win this fight because for a lot of reasons. But you got to be at this level of boxing, you got to be 100% focused. Shout out to Dragon Leg. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate that. You got to be 100% focused, especially against somebody like Devin Haney. You can't be drunk and getting high, and it sounded like he was both. And man, if you claim to be a follower of Yeshua, man, you gotta cut that out, man. Even if you decide to hang up the gloves, I mean that just doesn't look good. You can't be claiming to be a Christian talking about I'm high and drunk, and you and Tyson Fury got to stop with all the f bombs and all the foul language too, man. It's just not a good look. It's not a good representation. You should be able to express yourself without foul language. Speaking of language, I was telling you guys the other day that one of the subscribers was telling me I needed to expand my vocabulary, and I was like, you know, that's what Michael Eric Dyson does. He tries to use all these big words, and he loses his audience when he does that. You know, more intelligent people try to convey their message in a way that everybody can consume it without having to pull out a dictionary or thesaurus. So dropping a bunch of big words doesn't prove you're intelligent, just really shows you're trying to show off and you don't know how to communicate with your proverbial audience. But Ryan Garcia, man, come on, man. He seems to be, I knew he was acting a little funny. I saw another guy's video about that. He was saying like something's not right with Ryan Garcia. And I kind of picked up on it too, but I thought maybe just Devin Haney was getting to him, but he seemed to be extra agitated, and I don't think that push a couple weeks ago was fake by any means. Um, I know footage came out with Ryan Garcia's bodyguard behind him whispering, he's like, push up on him, push up on him. So a lot of people thought it was scripted. I don't think it was scripted. I just think he was telling Ryan Garcia, like make something happen. I don't think it was scripted though. Ryan Garcia said they were supposed to do a face off or something, and then he happened to hear him talking, and he went over there, and then he pushed him. Like I was saying, they supposedly had 6 fights in the amateurs, and Ryan Garcia won 3, and Devin Haney won 3 when they were like 9 or something. But Ryan Garcia, I was watching him on the Breakfast Club. He said he did the more damage, and when Devin Haney won, I guess it was more just points, kind of like he is now. But I'm sure both fighters have matured since then. There was a guy that was debating me on this fight, and I was going with Ryan, but that was before I knew he was really pounding marijuana and alcohol. But dude was trying to debate me. He even talked about, oh, I bet you think Deontay Wilder can't punch. So I said, name a top fighter that Deontay Wilder has KO'd. All of a sudden, I go back to see if he responded. He erased all his comments. I guess that was a mic drop on my part because Deontay Wilder hasn't had many top dudes on his resume. Ortiz. Who else? We know what happened with Fury. So Deontay Wilder is another topic, though. But back to Ryan Garcia. You can't be a top fighter and not live a disciplined life. He keeps talking about he looks up to Floyd and all that. First of all, you should just admire another person. You shouldn't look up to anybody. Only person you should look up to is Yeshua, Yahweh. You shouldn't be looking up to a man. But if you like the way Floyd carries himself, Floyd said he never drank or smoked. So why don't you follow that? Floyd is one of the few people that I've seen in professional sports that can have boatloads of money and still live a disciplined life. Like a lot of people can't do that. Once they get money, they start the party lifestyle. I don't know what it is. They say money is an amplifier. They said it doesn't really change you, it just brings out what you were already. If you're a womanizer when you were broke, you'll be even a bigger womanizer when you get money. If you were generous with what you had, what little bit you had, you'll be even more generous when you get money. So money is an amplifier. That's a very true statement. So I just hope Ryan Garcia gets it together because he might pull out. I believe the fight's in April 20, something like that. But I'm sure if Derek James sees that Ryan's not there mentally or physically, then he'll probably just pull out of the fight because Derek James can't take another loss. You don't want to go from trainer of the year to something crazy happening. I mean, it looks like AJ's already departed and going to Ben Davison, which I think was a brilliant move. All right, I don't know. I know Ryan Garcia. Remember, he had taken some time off. He was talking about that on the Breakfast Club for some mental health issues, and he acted like he overcame them, and now he's coming back. Well, if you overcame your mental issues, then the marijuana and the alcohol that shouldn't even be a topic, man. That's just insane to me. I don't know how anybody can claim to be a top athlete and look at Deontay Wilder. This dude's smoking ayahuasca, coming in looking about the size of Snoop Dogg, and you see what happened. That lifestyle don't mix. Boxing is a disciplined sport. So if you do anything outside of the ring that's undisciplined, do you think it's gonna really help you in the ring? Definitely not. It's not gonna help you. Y'all come on in. I didn't post that I was gonna go live, but I just had to let y'all know what was going on with the body snatcher posting a video on Instagram saying he's back. Um, Hope he's not back doing things that'll get him suspended from the sport. Dillian Whyte and Jarrell Miller need to just get in the ring and handle their business because they had some beef anyway. They need to just go in there and see what's what. You know what I mean? I always said Dillian White's legs seem like they've been gone for a couple years now. They seem real jittery when he takes the slightest punch. You know, I just always notice a fighter's legs when they're starting to go. Like I noticed when Povetkin was coming into the ring in the rematch with Dillian Whyte, just walking to the ring, I was like, his legs look like they're not there. And sure enough, he didn't win the fight. And Dillian Whyte seems to have those legs. I don't know if he's kind of regained them. His last fight was what 2 years ago against Jermaine Franklin. And a lot of people, even in the UK, think that Jermaine Franklin won that fight. Um, I'm not sure if Jermaine won the fight or not, but it was a close fight. And I don't know, man. The good thing about I don't know if Dillian White should call it a day or not. That's up to him. But the interesting thing about Dillian White is you never know. Sometimes at press conferences he's quiet, and other times he's got a lot to say. Like with the when he was about to fight Fury, he was seemed like real quiet in the press conferences. I was like, this ain't Dillian White. Seems like something's off. And I said Fury would knock him out with an uppercut about the same round he did it, and that's what happened. So I don't know what's going on with Dillian White. You know, I don't know if he stayed away for so long. Everybody's like, "Where's Dillian?" I don't know if he stayed away because he was on suspension or what. I thought he claimed he was innocent. I don't know. Only time will tell, I guess. But the good thing about having Dillian White back in boxing is you're going to have a lot of talk. That makes it kind of entertaining. Can you imagine a press conference with Jarrell Miller and Dillian White, all the trash talk? um, Dragon Leg says, what was the issue with Ryan leaving his king chair and came back? He probably went back and took a shot of Patron. Laugh out loud. He did that. I didn't even know he left his king chair. But man, yeah, I heard him talk about smoking weed. I didn't know he was drinking too, man. That's not a good combo at all. And he claims to have beaten his mental health issues, but it sure don't sound like it, unless it was some type of AI imitating his voice and it wasn't really him. I think there's a press conference coming up today. Maybe he can explain himself because a lot of people are going to be like, hey, man, we thought you could pull this out. I think he could win if he's focused. But you go in there high and drunk, man, it's going to be a walk in the park for Devin Haney because he's a disciplined fighter. Um, as far as I know, you know. But I didn't like too hearing Ryan Garcia talk about some of the greatest athletes, do the craziest things or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, and they still perform great. Okay, that's the exception to the rule, not the rule. I mean, I just don't like the road I see him going down. I don't like to see undisciplined people just in life in general. I don't like to be around those type of people. I don't like to see people that just live to party. That's not my type of crowd at all. I like to be around intelligent people and people that motivate you to do better. I don't like to be around no craziness. Let me back this camera up. I seem like it's too close. You know what I mean? But yeah, I like to be around disciplined people. I don't like to be around I've never been that type of person. I've never been the type of person to like I grew up in Southeast San Diego, mainly a blood city, especially in the 80s and 90s. It was full of gangs. But none of my homies, at least in the early stages, none of them were doing no weed or nothing like that. That came on later. But that was then, this is now. Um what else is going on in boxing? Oh yeah, I wanted to talk more about Zhang versus Parker. I hadn't realized the fight is what, next Friday? So we're just about a week out. I don't know if there'll be another press conference before Knockout Chaos or what. I'm pretty sure they're going to have a press conference. The weigh-in should be interesting. But Zhang and Parker, uh, um, from all the people that I listen to that seem to know boxing, um, it's kind of even. 50% Parker, 50% Zhang. And I don't want to sound like I'm hedging my bet, like I always say, but I wouldn't be surprised if Parker won because I think he'll be the busier guy. I don't know, though, if his chin is going to stand up to the power of Zhang and that southpaw style. I just don't know. And a lot of people are under the misconception that Zhang is slow. Zhang is not slow. He's not slow. When you say slow, I think of Joe Joyce. And Joe Joyce still connects. I always wonder how that happens. Maybe his opponent is like, I know that's not going to hit me. It's coming so slow. Ain't no way, man. I'm a duck pal. Oh, man, it connected. Wow. If Parker gets past the fight, I got to wait till the comment moves up a little bit. But yeah, Parker might be probably a little faster than Zhang, but Zhang is by no means slow. Don't think because he's this big guy that he's slow. I think people are automatically label you slow when you're a certain weight or even a certain height. They just look at you as like slow and methodical, but nah, Zhang is by no means slow. If Parker gets past the the fight first 6 rounds, he can win. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Parker gets past. If he makes it past 6, he can definitely get in Zhang's head a little bit, I believe, and that's his best bet. You're not gonna take Zhang out in the early rounds, so you gotta pace yourself. I'm sure it's a 12-round fight, unlike Joshua and Ganu. So you gotta pace yourself. Parker has to fight smart, like he did against Deontay Wilder, and I'm sure he'll do good having a trainer like Andy Lee. I think Andy Lee is one of the great trainers. Um, yeah, I know what you meant, Dragon Leg. Past the first 6 rounds. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I think you're right. I think he has to fight a very, 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 very smart fight. You cannot go in there and fall asleep against a guy like Zhang. Zhang might be a guy you can maybe take a round off if you find yourself getting winded because he doesn't have the highest punch output from what I know of him. So you can maybe take a round off here and there, but you know, make sure you're winning the fight before you take a round off. I hate to see dudes take a round off and they losing unless they're just really that beat up and trying to gather themselves, But like I was saying, Andy Lee is one of the I think he's one of the great trainers coming up. And he used to go to the Kronk gym in Detroit, you know. Detroit is home of us, the black folks. And he wasn't backing down from none of them. They tried to intimidate him. Andy Lee wasn't having it. So Andy Lee's a tough guy. So he can instill that into his fighters. And he seems to be a real disciplined guy. I like trainers like Andy Lee. I like Ben Davison. Um, I keep forgetting Caleb Plant's trainer's name. I like him. I like Zhang's trainer, James Bashir, one of the greatest boxing IQs out there, working with Vlad Sarenko. Shout out to both of them guys. And, you know, some of these fights could come down to who is the best corner. Dragon Leg says, I was listening to a channel and he mentioned what's next for Spence. He said Tony Harrison. I think that's a good comeback. Yeah, that would be a pretty good comeback for Spence because there's no way Spence should come right back and fight Terrence Crawford. I saw Terrence Crawford recently, and that dude is looking big and strong, man. I keep seeing videos of him wrestling people, slamming people, throwing footballs like throwing footballs like Justin Herbert, man, and yeah, Spence can't come right back and fight a Crawford. I think that fight ain't no longer on the table anyway. I wonder though how a fight. I thought it was in the contract, so I don't know what happened. Hey Gerard, what's up? Appreciate you tuning in, man. I really appreciate it. Gerard in the building, y'all. Yeah, I appreciate you tuning in. Just thought I'd go live and talk about Joseph Parker, Zhang. Dillian Whyte says he's back on Instagram. He's been in hiding for a while, it appears. Talk about Ryan Garcia, sounding like he's out of his mind right now, doing substances he has no business doing. Those of you that love Ryan Garcia that are close to him, y'all need to have an intervention and sit your boy down and have a long talk and be like, yeah, you gotta, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. This might not come around again. If you wanna mess things up, that's on you. But we're not gonna sit back and watch you do it without trying to intervene. Y'all gotta whisper in Ryan's ear and make him listen. If he won't listen, make him listen. Lock the door, do what you got to do, but make him listen because he's headed. It looks like he's headed down a path that's just a not good path. That's not a light path. That's a dark path. And if you want to be a child of the light, you can't do dark stuff. Ryan is behaving like a delinquent. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I don't like what I see. I don't like what I'm seeing at all. I don't like what I'm hearing. I mean, is he taking Devin? Now, I just thought of something. You think he's just saying all this so if he beats Devin Haney, he can be like, man, I was high and drunk and still whooped that dude. I don't know. I kind of doubt it because he seemed to be a little amped up on all his interviews. And usually when people are high, you can tell. Hey, what's up? Stephen S. in the building. He says, hello. Crawford has Spence measured. He's the guy to humble Canelo. Yeah, I think so too. I've been saying for a while, I've even done videos on Terrence Crawford is too much for Canelo. And, Canelo's not too big for Crawford. That seems to be the popular thing for people to say now. But nah. Crawford Crawford is probably the best fighter in boxing, um, next to people like Usyk. But Dragon Leg says Spence needs to stay away. Crawford, Zoo, Virgil, Fundura, and maybe Lubin. Errol, please stay away from punchers. Yeah, man. Errol needs to come back, and I'm sure his confidence was shaken against Terrence Crawford. So he needs to get his confidence back. Have get it like maybe two or three. He should get at least two or three fights this year against opponents that aren't too dangerous but dangerous enough that people want to tune in. That he can get his confidence back, work on some things, study what he did wrong in the Crawford fight. And I said Stephen A, not Stephen A. Smith. Stephen S says, yeah, he's the best. Yeah, Crawford is just he's the real deal, man. He's the real deal. He's got that competitive nature about him. You can tell he don't like to lose. You could probably play him in a game of checkers, and he'll probably, if he's not winning, he'll probably flip over the flip the board over. Terrence Crawford does not like to lose. He's one of them dudes would never take a dive. I just love to see dudes that have that competitive spirit, that disciplined warrior lifestyle outside of the ring, training all year, and even on their off days training. People like Vlad Sarenko just constantly staying in the gym. Those are people that we talk about years from now when we look back and talk about great champions. And I think there's a lot of great fighters right now in boxing. And I think I was saying, shout out to Boxing on the Edge. I was saying on his platform that I think we'll look back years from now and talk about all the great fighters that we had to watch. But yeah, it's Gerard said it's the confidence that Crawford carries along with his superb skill set. Yeah, that confidence, man. Um, you could tell in the ring walk just with Spence. You could tell like Spence was in trouble. Spence looked like he was half asleep. His eyes was all like, "Hey, what's up, y'all?" It was like, well, it ain't nothing but a G thing, but hey, man. It's like, oh boy, man, you're in trouble. you you got to be focused, especially against Crawford, man. Especially against Crawford, and the thing about that fight, Crawford made it look so easy, and I picked Crawford to win by knockout. People thought I didn't know, but I knew. Marvin Hagler mindset type, yeah, yeah. Marvin Hagler, another great champion, man. Their discipline. It's like it's in their DNA, and it's like Lennox Lewis was saying, training comes easy for him. So the great ones make the hard things look easy. They're able to do things that other people aren't able to do. They discipline their minds to do it, whether they feel like it or not. And that's the sign of a great champion, not to give in, not, oh, I'm having a bad day. Where's the liquor store? Nah, you're not going to be a great champion. You'll be here today and forgotten tomorrow type. Crawford's coming out with the fishing net was the final nail for Errol. Yeah, I thought that was hilarious. Came out with a fishing net. I was like, oh man, that was too funny. Shout out to Crawford and Bomac, man. Oh yeah, another. Speaking of trainers, man, I think Bomac is a great trainer, man. Look what he even went up there and helped Chris Eubank Jr. in the rematch with what's his name, Liam Smith. Yeah, man, Bomac knows his stuff, and all you nonsense platforms with thousands of subscribers but getting 18 views talking about Terrence Crawford cheated. You see why you get 18 views on your videos. People are like tired of your nonsense. People like, man, you don't know boxing. Boxing Toilet used to be called Boxing Outlet, keeps changing the name of his platform. Something like Ross Media or something, I still like when I see that dude, I'm be like, man, what's up? We can handle it right here. We can go in the ring, you know. But Roos versus Ross, got no chance, homie. But anyway, yeah, back to Terrence Crawford, man. He's the real deal. He's the real deal. Crawford just needs to fight the winner of Tim or Thurman for four-time champion and fight Jermell for three-time undisputed and retire, then make a biography book. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think Crawford destroys either Charlo at this point. Um, yeah, I used to think the Charlos were pretty good. I don't know what happened with them, but I don't know. I think the hunger just leaves some guys for whatever reason. Crawford showed them there is levels. Absolutely, absolutely. A lot of people were talking about Terrence Crawford when he first started, when he first turned pro and was going through everybody, and then Errol Spence. And then they jumped on the Errol Spence bandwagon. It was like, I think Errol would beat Crawford. I was like, no. Crawford would still beat Errol Spence. And I don't care if it's at 147, 154, 168. Crawford wins that fight every time. When you make, I think Errol Spence is a great fighter. And if you can make a great fighter look average, or, I mean, that says a lot. And Errol Spence was fighting till the end, until they stopped it. Errol Spence went out on his shield. He didn't stop fighting. So I'm taking nothing from Errol Spence. He fought like a G. He just was in over his head. And anybody that fights Terrence Crawford is in over their head. Terrence Crawford is no joke. I don't care if he's fighting Boots, Ennis, whoever. Crawford will win. And when the higher caliber of opponent that he's fighting, you're gonna really see the great Terrence Crawford come out. But let's see. I don't understand how boxing fans these days align themselves with the promoter and dislike everything else. Let me wait for the comment to move up so I can read the rest. Hope y'all are having a great day today. This weather where I'm at, it will be cold 1 minute, then hot the next. You never know what you're gonna get. I'm a California boy, so I'm not used to that. With the promoter and dislike everything else, I don't care who promotes a great fight. Yeah, I know what you're saying. And speaking of promoters, it sound like Ryan Garcia and Oscar De La Hoya have squashed their long beef. I saw Ryan on the Breakfast Club. They asked about Bernard Hopkins, and he said, "Nah, he's weird." But now you saw Ryan Garcia at the press conference go up to B Hop and be like, "Hey man, let's squash the beef." And B Hop was like, "Hey man, there's no beef." So I thought that was cool. You know, Ryan says he doesn't like all that inner turmoil, and I can understand that, man. You want a smooth team, a smooth camp. Y'all see that face-off thing they had with Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya, where they were talking about coming together and making fights with Queensberry and Frank Warren? I thought it was an interesting little conversation. Let's see. It's cold and rainy in South Wales. Oh, you're in South Wales. Shout out to you, man. South Wales. I got a lot of subscribers overseas. Man, yeah, it was raining like a waterfall here yesterday. It'll rain real hard and then just stop all of a sudden. The fight I'm waiting for a hardcore boxing fan match is Bivol versus Beterbiev. Yeah, man, Bivol versus Beterbiev. Who do you like in that fight, Dragon Leg? That's a hard one to pick. That is a hard one to pick. Some people think Bivol was ducking Beterbiev or Beterbiev, however you might say it. Hope I'm not butchering his name. But Bivol, both guys are no joke, man. I wish, I think somebody was saying, maybe it was you, that this fight should have been on the Knockout Chaos card. That would have really been nice, especially for $40. I can't wait for the Matchroom versus Queensberry. Yeah, man. Yeah, that'll be nice. Leg says I like both, but Team Bivol. Yeah, I like Bivol too, man. Yeah, he throws a lot of punches, man. That guy was, he can put them together, can he? That's usually the sign too of a great fighter, is a fighter that throws lots of combos. You know, you don't see a lot of heavyweights throw combos. That's what made Evander Holyfield and Andrew Ruiz so hard to deal with. They throw a lot of combos. A lot of heavyweights are just basic 1-2 hook fighters. I've always liked Bivol in that fight. Yeah, I can understand that. I can understand that, man. Yeah, it'll be a great fight. We might even get a rematch, maybe 2 or 3 fights out of that, depending on how that goes. Hopefully, 2024 will be a big year in pugilism, just like 2023 was. Just keep it going, man. I hear Ryan Garcia talking about he want to fight what's his name from the UFC, saying he'll fight him in the cage. I'm hearing talks of Deontay Wilder fighting Francis Ngannou in the PFL. Don't do it, Deontay. Stay out of the cage. Stay out of the proverbial cage, Deontay. Um, if y'all love Deontay, keep him out of the cage, and especially keep him out of the cage against Francis Ngannou. Might be better off in the cage with a tiger than Francis Ngannou. We be going hard on Deontay, huh? He just makes a lot of bad decisions, man. I don't know what's up with that. He does things I would never do. Bivol seems strong in that ring. He used that forearm to push Canelo and Ramirez off with ease. Yeah, yeah. In Cage Garcia. Yeah, you're right. That's where strength and conditioning comes into play. You know, there's a lot of people that under the old school mentality that boxers shouldn't lift weights, and that's nonsense. Anything that can help your muscles and especially if you're doing light weights and high reps. That creates muscle endurance. That doesn't harm you, man. It doesn't harm you at all. Like, I remember when me and my buddy in San Diego used to be shooting 3 pointers. That's all we would do, shoot threes. And by the time he was fatigued, I could just keep going. It's like I, it's like you reach a point where you feel like you can just keep playing 24 hours if you wanted to. So weights don't harm you unless you don't know what you're doing. But that's with anything. If you don't know what you're doing, um, if you don't know how to cook, people will spit out your food. If you don't know how to fly an airplane, people will not want to get on a flight with you. So that's with anything. But yeah, we need to keep the streak going. 2024. We need to make the fights happen. And I think Saudi Arabia has kind of laid down the precedent. They've kind of made a public display of how things should be done. They're showing how you can get a fight made quickly and everyone is paid well. All parties are happy. They don't need to be going back with this offer. Then we offered them 20 million and they didn't take it. And then this and that. And their promoter looked at me crazy. So I said, I would no, just come on, man. Come on. I don't even like to hear on boxing platforms where everybody's talking about, all the negotiations. It's like we want to see the fights, not the negotiations. Man, this ain't professional wrestling where you just sit there to hear them talk. We want to see some fighting. Let's see. Waiting for it. Looks like I got some comments. I'm waiting for it to show up. It's like the comments disappeared. Yeah, the Saudis have really shown the way. Yeah, man, they're putting these big cards together. They're putting the promos together. They're making it an event like in the old days. Like I referred on my last live about Lennox Lewis and Michael Grant. If any of you can remember that, they were promoting that because the guys were so tall. Lennox Lewis 6'5", Michael Grant was like 6'7". So they made them walking in between these skyscrapers, and like yeah, that was pretty cool. That's what the Saudis are doing. They're making an event. They're having people perform, lights, lasers, and all that. They're making it like how we do in the States with the Super Bowl. They really understand how to put together a show. Thunder's Productions in the building. It says Lennox destroyed Grant. Oh yeah, man. Grant even sounded scared in the if you remember, if you go back and watch his interview in the dressing room before he came out, his voice was even shaking and trembling, and he kept trying to pause so you wouldn't notice, but I picked up on it. He was nervous in the dressing room. He wasn't ready, man, and Lewis was calm. That's what I always liked about Lennox Lewis. He fought like Drago, just real calm, man. He just knew what to do. Bond Scott in the building. Salute to you too, man. Thanks for tuning in. Talking about if you're just tuning in, I'm talking about a little bit of everything. You can bring up a topic if you want, but Dillian Whyte says he's back on Instagram. Ryan Garcia looks like he's smoking weed and drinking, which is crazy. Talking about Zhang Parker, Joshua Ngannou. It's basically a free for all. Whatever you guys want to discuss, classic fights, whatever, man. Dragon Leg says if there was a 5-on-5 top rank, I believe top rank will be on top. I feel top rank is best prospects and competitors. Matchroom comes in second every time. Yeah, yeah. Top rank, yeah. They've been around for a minute too, man. They've been around for a minute. I miss the days of HBO, man, and now Showtime's gone. I miss Jim Lampley, George Foreman, Larry Merchant. I know a lot of people didn't like Larry Merchant. I like Larry Merchant. I don't think he was racist either. I think he just said what was on his mind. A lot of people think you're racist if you say something that's not popular or politically correct. But political correctness is really just censorship repackaged. That's all it is. You should be able to speak your mind without Big Brother coming in and like, no, don't say that. Do not say that. But that's the world that we live in. The end times. Read the scriptures. You can clearly see it. Um, Let me try to read this comment from Vaughn Scott. It says, do Top Rank put a lot of shows on with Queensberry? Fury seems to be connected to both. Yeah, I'm kind of mixed up on that one too. I noticed that. Sometimes I wonder what's going on with Frank Warren and Fury and Top Rank. I'm gonna have to look into that. I noticed there seems to be a lot of interaction with that. It's real hard to understand. Stephen S says boxers without proper learning transition process have not. Boxers without proper learning transition process have nothing to do in the cage. Transition is possible, but not overnight. You at least need to learn to defend takedowns and check kicks. Oh yeah, yeah. I've seen like Ray Mercer got handled pretty quickly in a fight in the cage. Of course, James Toney. And if you're a boxer and you go into mixed martial arts, first thing they're gonna do is try to take you down. They're not gonna sit there and box with you, which I mean that makes sense. You're in their world, so they're like, nah, I'm gonna just take you down, fight over in about 20 seconds, and take it to the showers. You definitely have to learn to defend against takedowns. You got to learn how to put your legs back when they go low and don't give them something to grab onto. Um, yeah, you probably need to study John Jones too if you want to be a great mixed martial artist. John Jones is something ferocious, man. I don't think anybody's gonna beat John Jones, man. He's like the Terrence Crawford of mixed martial arts. And he was saying something when he was at the PFL versus Bellator event. He was saying how it's good to see more other organizations. He's kind of saying so UFC doesn't have a monopoly. There should be other organizations out there to spread around the wealth, so guys will start getting paid more in mixed martial arts if you have competition. If there's just one league, you kind of got to take what they're offering if you want to fight and if you want to get paid. And there's no way Dana White should be making more money than the fighters. That's ridiculous, man. You sit there behind a desk and you want to make more than the guys training. Like, make it make sense, Dana. People talk about Don King. At least Don King was breaking off his fighters, 20 million. You know, so I never understood how a promoter. I think that's why Floyd was so smart too. He's like cutting out the middleman. Like, I can promote myself. Like, I don't need Bob Arum. You guys, shout out to KD Kurt from Counterpunch Boxing News. Y'all ever hear him do his Bob Arum impersonation? Man, he got that down. He does a great Andy Ruiz impersonation. Bob Arum. The Bob Arum would be just having me rolling, man. He sounds just like Bob Arum. Shout out to Kurt, Counterpunch Boxing News. Go to subscribe to him if you haven't. Go subscribe to Andrew Tucker World, DT3 the Boon Man, Boxing on the Edge, Showbiz, The Adult Boxing Wave, Mr. Boxing Today 2, Tony's Reviews, Dusty Vision TV. I did an interview I've said on a couple videos with Dusty Vision TV. It's mainly about like West Coast lifestyle and stuff, but we'll be talking about West Coast stuff and boxing and Jack Johnson. He released a little bit of the interview a couple weeks ago. We did about Jack Johnson and racism in the early 1900s in boxing. But we talk about it all. That'll be on Dusty Vision TV. The whole interview will be released sometime in March. And go subscribe to Dusty Vision TV and WA Stories with Alonzo Williams from the World Class Wrecking Crew. He got some stories about the music industry, which I used to be somewhat a part of. Glad I didn't get too heavy into it. But yeah, subscribe to those channels. These Walk Like You Talk TV out there, Lennox Roos, um, Chris Jones. Floyd earned a lot just from haters. He know how to run his business. Yeah, yeah. Floyd knows how to market himself now. I mean, look at how many exhibition bouts that he's had and still able to sell them. I'm not big on the exhibition bouts, but apparently a lot of people like to see that. But Floyd still knows how to stay in the spotlight, still knows how to pull in money, and he's really the first boxer I've seen to cut out the middleman. Like, I don't need you to promote me. I can promote me. I got the money to do it, and I'm not gonna rob myself. Look like some. I don't know. Is there some more comments? I'm just waiting for it to show up. I wonder what Joseph Parker is going to come in weighing against Zhang. I'm sure Zhang will be around 280. Stephen S says 9 of 10 fans hate Floyd. Yeah, a lot of people hate Floyd, for the flashiness. I never liked his lifestyle outside of the ring. He stayed disciplined, with his training and stuff, and no drinking or smoking. But I don't like all the womanizing and just seem like wasting money. And I know he does a lot of good things with his money, but a lot of people don't like Floyd too because they thought he fought fighters at the wrong time, and they just look at him like he fought too boring of fights, and he created a mentality in boxing that protect your wins and try not to get any losses in your column. And now, though, we're seeing boxers starting to take more risks. Like, man, people want to see. I was just talking about Dana White, but at least Dana White, for the most part, put together fight cards that you wanted to see. He didn't put together, no C class fighter against an A+ fighter. Not all the time. And you don't really get any crazy decisions in UFC either, or Dana White will get you up out of there. You make a bad decision in the UFC, and you find yourself in an unemployment line, I'm sure. So that's the one cool thing about Dana White and the UFC. I think the PFL is buying out Bellator. So I don't know what that event was over in Saudi Arabia with the PFL and Bellator. Maybe it was just one last fight between both organizations before Bellator is bought out. I don't know. Um, there's something that Dewey Cooper, Francis Ngannou's trainer, was talking about, and I watched some of it. They have like a fight league. I forget what it's called, but you can find it on YouTube, where they fight in like a long ring, and it's like teams, and they fight for so many minutes. It's different. It's definitely different. And, I'm gonna try to check it out and see if it's my cup of tea. I'm not into the bare knuckle fighting. That's just too barbaric. If I want to see that, I just watch two dudes scrapping in the backyard or on the street. But yeah, a lot of people being creative. Remember that league where they were fighting in a triangle? It was a triangle ring. Dragon Leg says, I remember when my parents bought a Floyd fight, and his was using a stack of money like a cell phone, and they stopped buying his pay-per-views. Our hard-earned money. Yeah, Floyd used to really flaunt that money, didn't he? I was like, man, you know, that's what a lot of us black folks do. When we get some money, we gotta wear it and show it, you know. It's like sometimes we do everything in our power to promote the stereotypes and then complain. I don't get it. Dragon Lake says our hard-earned money. He flashed it in our face. Yeah, yeah. Like, thank you for adding to my bank account. Yeah, man. Floyd Mayweather. There's only one Floyd, that's for sure. I think that's why Adrian Broner's career never panned out the way he would have liked because it's like he was trying to be Floyd, but he didn't have that discipline. I remember Floyd watching, he was in the dressing room watching Broner go to the ring, and Broner was singing the lyrics to the rapper he was coming into the ring with, and Floyd was like, "You better get focused." See, people don't know that Floyd might party and all that stuff, but he still had a level of very high discipline. And if you can't do that, then don't try to emulate Floyd. And it's like he only saw that side of Floyd. It's like he didn't see the discipline side. It seems so. He just his career tanked, unfortunately. But did I say Arian Broner? I meant Adrian Broner if I said that wrong. Um, but yeah, boy, it looks like it's gonna rain again. Overcast again. I tell you. But I want to do a live stream dedicated to classic fights. I might even go back and do a live commentary on some classic fights. Like the other day, we're talking about Morrison versus Joe Hip. I might do one on that. Dragon Lake says when Aaron Broner, yeah, I saw that when he did that to Maidana. I was like, dude, that's yeah. I saw. I think he did that to. I think he might have. Did he do that to Paulie Malignaggi too? He did it to somebody. I was like when I see WWE and they do some crazy stuff, I'm like, do they care that there's like children in the audience? Like anything goes now? I don't get it. I do not get it. Um, it's like people just do whatever they want. Bon Scott says Chavez 90 fights before his first loss. Crazy stat. Wow. Yeah, Chavez was a great fighter. Do you remember his fight with Oscar De La Hoya? Chavez had one of those thick craniums like Joe Joyce and Francis Ngannou. Like some dudes just have seem like they got extra padding under their skin and thick, dense skulls, man. But yeah, Chavez was a great fighter. I remember when Don King would put on those cars where it'd be stacked like Day of Reckoning, and Chavez would be on the card, and Frankie Randall, and uh, what's his name from San Diego? How could I forget it? Oh, that's the fighter from San Diego. I met him one time at a fight in San Diego too. Anyway, um, it was a lot of great cards back then, the Don King days with Chavez. But Chavez, I don't know how many fights he had by the time he retired either. But definitely, definitely one of the great fighters. Nobody can take that from him. Chavez was fighters, fighters. His fights was interesting to watch. Yeah, yeah. Chavez was a workhorse. You could tell guys like that. You could tell that they really put a lot into their training. You could just it oozes through them, just their approach and their constant movement and walking a fighter down. Was it Chavez that stopped Meldrick Taylor with a couple seconds in the last fight in the last round or something? Wasn't that Chavez? Bon Scott said he had 115. Man, he had 115 fights. Man, now that's I don't know if we'll ever see that again in the pros. That is a lot of fights, man. 115 fights for Julio Cesar Chavez. Wow, wow, wow. Just you mentioning it makes me want to go back and pull up some of his fights, man. Them guys back then, they were just tough, man. They were tough. There was no social media around for distractions. You know, if you wanted to see a fighter, you had to go to a magazine store or have a subscription to Ring. I used to be subscribed to Ring magazine and all them, and or I go to the magazine shop in San Diego and get my boxing magazines. I had a whole collection. Um, I should have sold them now for money, but those guys were just tough. They didn't have the distractions, and even if they did have distractions, a lot of them guys knew how to deal with it. I think a lot of fighters now can't handle the pressure of the women constantly coming at them in their DMs and coming at them on the street. They can't handle the pressure. They give in to womanizing, drinking, and smoking and all that, and that's not going to help you at all. That's You don't want to be thought of as a party guy, especially not in professional boxing. What do you guys think of what's that UFC guy, Sean Strickland? That dude gives some crazy interviews. He don't bite his tongue, does he? I saw him fighting a YouTuber or something, and he let the guy hit him for a couple rounds, and he was like, "Okay, I'm coming in like the last minute." He just let him hit him for. He gave him like a couple minutes. Last minute, he just started welling on the dude. And the guy just quit. I think the other guy's coach threw in the towel, but he kept hitting him like he didn't see the towel. Sean Strickland, man, it's cool to see a guy. I definitely don't agree with everything he says, but it's cool to see a guy not allowing society to censor him. He just says it. That's refreshing to see. That's what I call being fearless. Dragon Leg says, I used to get the Black Belt magazine. I remember that. Flex magazine. I remember that. Muscle and Fitness. I got a Muscle and Fitness over here, I think, with Dolph Lundgren and Florian Martiano, who played his son. I got one over here. Yeah, man. I remember all those magazines. Well, I used to get the rap magazines, Word Up and Fresh and all that. I miss magazines. I hate that music is digital now. I like picking up a physical copy. Bond Scott says, that's what I don't get. Modern fighters lucky if they fight once or twice a year. Even Tyson had 15 fights in 1 year. Yeah, man. These fighters nowadays want to fight once or twice a year and get 30 million per fight. It's like, man, why would we pay that much to watch you on pay-per-view and you haven't even been active? Like, I'm gonna get a subpar fight and my pocket's gonna be empty at the end of that subpar fight. So nah, I don't understand that either. Shout out to Anthony Joshua for having 3 fights in 1 year, and people say he's not hungry. You ever seen Anthony Joshua out of shape? No, that means he's hungry. You ever see him end a fight on his face? No, it means he's hungry. When people said he had that meltdown in the second Ruiz fight, Usyk fight, whatever it was, that shows he's hungry. If he wasn't hungry, he wouldn't have cared if he lost or not. Dragon Leg says, I didn't really watch MMA anymore. I don't. I just Muay Thai and boxing. Yeah, Muay Thai is tough. Remember when Riddick Bowe had that Muay Thai fight, like at a carnival or something, and dude was kicking the mess out of his leg. I think he's had leg problems ever since. I was like, why is Riddick Bowe in Muay Thai? Went to the military. Like Riddick Bowe was doing some interesting things back then. Riddick Bowe had a funny interview over on Rampage Jackson's podcast. Stephen S says, I like Strickland. That dude fights in the gym all the time. Hard worker. Yeah. Strickland's like one of the old school dudes from the 80s and 90s. Real tough guy. I don't know where he grew up, but he's definitely not. He's not one of these estrogen filled keyboard warriors that we see so much of today. Sean Strickland, man, he's given some of the wildest interviews I've ever heard, even with women. I'm like, man, he don't care nothing about political correctness. Dragon Leg says Anthony Joshua is the ambassador of boxing. I care less a face of boxing. Yeah, Joshua carries himself well. I agree. Bon Scott says, I think AJ was surrounded by people constantly inflating his ego. He couldn't understand why the smaller fighter beat him. Hopefully, he has. I'm trying to wait for the comment to move up. Yeah, where's that guy Joshua used to hang around that had the slick back hair and the poof? They called him Skins. I ain't seen that guy in a minute. I was like, what happened to Skins? They seemed like they was real cool. Anybody from the UK know what happened to Skins? Joshua didn't know why the smaller fighter beat him. Hopefully, he has the right team behind him now. Yeah, man. Um, that's why I like AKA Skins. Yeah, that's why I liked Emmanuel Stewart. He's not gonna let his fighter have a bunch of weirdos around him and a bunch of yes men. And I don't think Ben Davison is gonna go for that either. Ben Davison seems kind of like, lighthearted and stuff like that. Doesn't seem like he's a screamer, which I like. I never could when I was boxing. I never could. I don't like trainers that scream and all that. I need you to talk to me calmly. So yeah, some people respond to all that. I was watching a fight years ago, and this fighter was in the corner, and his trainer was talking crazy to him. I guess he thought or yelling. The fighter told him right there on national TV or worldwide TV. He said, "Don't talk to me like that." I was like, "Oh." Don't know if that trainer was invited back for the next fight. But yeah, I'm not trying to have you scream at me. I saw, Emmanuel Stewart would get revved up, but that's Emmanuel Stewart, man. Emmanuel knew what he was talking about. No doubt about that. But yeah, anybody out there from the UK, what happened to Anthony Joshua's homie Skins? I believe that was his name. Where is he at? I ain't seen him in a minute. I didn't know his name until recently. Oh, I knew his name, but I'd forgotten it. And I saw him recently, and I was like, "Yeah, what happened to that dude? I haven't seen him." Joshua used to hang around all these dudes that seem like they just be having a good time, just playing around and eating and playing games. They didn't seem to be distracted by groupies or nothing like that. You can't live. I'm saying it again. You can't live a party lifestyle and be very successful at the high levels of boxing. At least not for long. It might work for a minute, but it's gonna be over pretty fast. And nothing good comes from getting drunk. I remember a guy I used to work with, and I wish I could remember his name, but he said something way back in the early '90s that I never forgot. He said, "You never hear somebody getting drunk and saving a life. You just don't hear of it. It don't happen." Bon Scott says maybe he got fed up with the rumor mill, the same as they tried with Lewis. I don't really know. Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, you people are quick to try to put labels on you, and yeah, I know what you're talking about. Especially when Skins had that model look, and then Anthony Joshua looks like a model. So people try to, really try to flame you and say crazy stuff. Two good looking guys, yeah, y'all stop. I don't pick up none of them type of feelings from them. I don't see them rolling that way. I didn't think alcohol year I didn't drink alcohol 5 years now, but I was a bad drinker. Oh, well, shout out to you, Stephen S. Shout out to you, man. Yeah, they call it spirits for a reason, man. I just don't. I just don't even like to be around, people that drink. They start talking loud and the smell of the alcohol, and then they start touching you. It's like, okay, man, stop touching me, man. So shout out to you for overcoming that, Stephen. Shout out to you, man. It takes great character and discipline to be able to walk away from something that had a hold of you. Not a lot of people can do that. They can go to interventions and all that, and stay away for 2 weeks and then go right back to the bottle. One of my favorite shows growing up, favorite show of all time, Dallas. And if you guys remember that show, Sue Ellen could really drink. And anytime she had a problem, she would be like looking at the alcohol, like, oh man, I wish I could drink that. And sometimes she would give in, sometimes she wouldn't. But everybody on Dallas drank, man. Seemed like they just go right in the house and go hit up the liquor. But shout out, man. Thanks for sharing that with us, and keep going, man. Keep going. No matter if you're having a tough day or a good day, man, just keep that discipline. It'll take you far. Discipline has a high reward. It was easy. I decided, and that was it. Wow, that's really cool, man. So you just did it like cold turkey, huh? You just use your own discipline. Yeah, the mind is powerful, man. People underestimate the power of making up your mind, man. The mind can will you you can will yourself through some tough times, man. You can will yourself through tough workouts, man. I do it all the time. And I've been through some crazy situations. I mean, crazy. You guys have no idea some of the situations I've been in. I give the credit to the Most High, Yahweh, Yeshua, who's, Baruch me with a lot of discipline and the ability to keep going no matter what I'm facing. And yeah, the mind, though. A fighter with a tough mind is near impossible to beat. That's why Crawford will be nearly impossible for anyone to beat because his mind is so strong. And every time you do something that's hard, like a workout or resist drinking or smoking, you're making your mind stronger. And when your mind is stronger, your body's going to get stronger. You just build upon it. Do I believe in the lost tribe? The lost tribe of Israel. Um, what exactly do you mean? Like like the Hebrew Israelites, them dudes nah, them Hebrew Israelites dudes are just like I saw some of them in downtown Atlanta on the corner. They be racist as all get out. Um they be staying on the corner. Yeah, they be standing in the corner in them outfits, and I'm like, where in the world do you guys see hate in the scriptures, man? You can't hate nobody. You can't hate somebody because the color of their skin. That's ridiculous. That is insane. I'm like, people just. It's a weird world, man. This is a strange time. This is a strange time, man. The days of Noah. Extremists in all religion. Oh yeah, yeah, man. I always say if you can't find it in the scripture, then it's just somebody's opinion. If they can't back it up in the word, then that's just them talking. And if they try to make the word say what they want it to say, I don't go for that either. I'm like, nah, you put a twist on that. That's not what it says, and that's not what it means. Like the saying goes, common sense. It ain't too common. You know, you think a little common sense. I talk to people all the time, and I just let people talk. People kind of expose themselves if you let them talk. I study people. If you let them talk, they kind of you can tell what's going on upstairs if you know what I mean. And in their spirits, you're like, yeah, something ain't right. And yeah, I'm thinking about going live for the. I've never done a. Well, yeah, I have. I did the Jared Anderson fight live stream on my platform, but those are not real Israelites. Yeah. I would like to ask them like, where's the love? Y'all talk a lot of anger and hate, but where's the love? Stephen S says there are bad people and good people is how I see it. Yeah, it seems like the world is full of a lot of scared people as well. It's like a lot of people just live their lives in fear and live their lives in the news, whatever the news says. Oh no, they said this. Fear is used to control you. If you can scare somebody, you can pretty much make them do whatever you like. You can get a horse to deal cards if you scare them just right. Any more uh, commentaries with our good brother Andrew? Yeah, man. Um, we'll I'm sure we'll be going live again. I'm just trying to grow my platform a little more, so I thought I might do the Joshua and Ngannou fight on my platform just to get my numbers up. But yeah, once I reach a certain level, yeah, man, Andrew's cool people, man. Andrew Tucker World, like I said, go subscribe to him if you haven't. You know, he knows the sport of boxing and he's got very fast hands. Bon Scott, oh yeah, it's the same question I just read. What y'all think of Jared Anderson? Do you think he's a upcoming great fighter, or it seems like his head's not really in it though? I thought he would be the next great American heavyweight, but then when he had that little meltdown with Roy Jones, I was like, that's kind of cool that we're seeing this, but I'm like, now your opponents are seeing it too, and they're gonna look at you as weak-minded. So I don't know about Jared Anderson. He needs to gather himself and decide if this is something he wants to do or not. That's the only live stream I did of I've done on my platform was the Jared Anderson fight. The next great's gonna be Itama. Am I saying that right? Ituama. I'm not sure who that is. I'm gonna have to check them out though. I'm pretty sure you know what you're talking about, so I'm gonna have to check that person out. I might have seen them and just don't remember the name. So they're from America, huh? Dragon Lake says those were so-called pro-black guys, like the black Muslims on the corner. Yeah, it's just kind of yeah, almost like repackaged. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Moses, oh yeah, I think I have seen him. Isn't he from the UK? Moses Atum, isn't he from the UK though? I might be wrong. I might be thinking of somebody else. Yeah, the American heavyweight scene is pretty bad right now. It's like I think it's from all the luxury, you know. A society that promotes promiscuity and luxury usually doesn't produce too many heavyweight champions. The best champions come from hardships, you know. That's probably why the Ukraine is doing so tough. No, he's a Croatian born UK fighter. Okay. Okay, I think I have seen him in just the name. Yeah. Flip and Jared final eliminator for IBF. I wish that would happen. Yeah, that would be a good test actually. That would be a real good test to see who's about their business. I'm curious how Jared Anderson will handle pressure in the ring now that I see that he doesn't seem to want to be in the sport for too long. If your head's not in boxing, then I don't. It's too dangerous of a sport to play around with. I think part of the problem is boxing isn't as big in the U.S. as other sports. Yeah, that is true. A lot of NBA and football and all that, and yeah, there's a lot of NBA players and football players that probably make great fighters, but they go the team sports route. I used to play football growing up. I played quarterback, tailback, wide receiver, and I had skills. Still do. But yeah, boxed. Believe it or not, I made around 13 or more 3 pointers back to back. Not on a team, just me and my homie. 13. You know what's up, Steph Curry? You don't want to see me. Swish. And boxing used to be big. Back in the days, people would leave their jobs early, whole jobs would shut down to watch certain fights. We got to get it back to that. Maybe the Saudis can get it back on that level to where boxing kind of takes over because I'd much rather see a great heavyweight fight than the Super Bowl. Be good but not harmless. Right, right. And I started thinking about football. I'm about to change subjects for about a little bit here. To the LA Chargers. If y'all don't get Derrick Henry, who's a free agent, I think I'm going to scream. Go get Derrick Henry. Remember Chuck Muncie from back in the 80s? He was like 240 fast. We need Derrick Henry. Don't tell me he's on the downside of his career. Derrick Henry would give Justin Herbert the help he needs to throw the long pass. Go get Derrick Henry. To the director who does a great Chargers live stream, tell everybody in the Charger world to go get Derrick Henry. Okay, back to boxing. But yeah, going back to Jared Anderson, I think he's got all the talent in the world. Tyson Fury sparred with him, had nothing but great things to say about him. I think he just has to get his head into it. Maybe he needs a break. Sometimes when you box for so many years, by the time you turn pro, you're burnt out. That happened to my good buddy back in the day in San Diego. He played football from like 8 years up. By the time it was the college years and time to go pro, he was already burnt out. So some people start too young and then fizzle out. Floyd started at a young age, but he was able to keep that hunger. I think the more the checks kept coming in, he's like, oh, okay, I definitely can do this. But the out here is gonna be Frank Sanchez, in my honest opinion. He might be underestimated. Oh yeah, how could I forget good old Frank Sanchez, man? Great guy. I seen him only wobbled once, and the dude is tricky, man. He's very tricky, and he. I would like to see him step it up in competition. Like I wish he was on this card. Like he was on the Day of Reckoning card. I wish they put Frank Sanchez on the Knockout Chaos card. Dragon Lake says my Indianapolis Colts will still stop Derrick Henry. Man, Derrick Henry, man, have you seen that dude's even his high school highlights, man? That dude, ooh, it's like when linebackers see Derrick Henry coming up the middle, they look the other way like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna go ahead and see who's in the crowd right here. I ain't trying to tackle this dude. Bon Scott says Arslan Beck got destroyed by Sanchez. Yeah, Sanchez, man, I think he's a lefty too. I think Sanchez, he's one of them guys that he's kind of hard to figure out because it seems like he can get you out of there sometimes, and then he just kind of coast through the rest of the fight. And I'm like, dude, you could have got this dude out in round two. I don't know. Maybe he wants more TV time. Maybe he's trying to work on something. I don't know, but he seems to have a good balance of boxing ability with power, and that's always hard for a lot of fighters to deal with. Um, who's the dude that beat that Mac Mudov dude on the Day of Reckoning card? I did a video about him. I had never seen him fight to that night. He looks like a talented fighter too. And I said if there would be any upsets on the Day of Reckoning, it would be that fight, and that's the fight it was. Nobody really gave that dude a chance. They kept talking about Makhmudov. Hope I'm saying his name right, but he looks like a monster. Derrick Henry is a unit, though. Yeah, Derrick Henry. He might have been a good heavyweight fighter. Derrick Henry, man, that's that dude's like a linebacker playing running back. Chargers, please get Derrick Henry. Get Derrick Henry. Oh yeah, keep Khalil Mack. Keep Khalil Mack. If you guys get rid of him, I saw him play in person against Atlanta. Look at his stats. Don't go by his age. Look at his stats. They like to go by your age over your stats. Age don't matter. The dude's being more productive than ever. Stephen S's boxing never changed. That's why people love it. Yeah. Only thing I wish they'd add to boxing is instant replay like the NFL. So if you get some crazy thing like Usyk and Dubois when they thought it was a low blow, that's the only thing I wish they do is add instant replay. I think they tried it in a fight a couple years ago, but I wish they keep it up, even if they have to pause the action for a while. It's you just hate to see bad decisions. Weren't the Saudis talking about adding judges to the Fury Usyk fight and replays and all that? So they might change the game with that. I want to see more of Jai. Oh yeah, man. Yeah, he's a great fighter, dude. Speaking of him, nah, who did I see? I saw an interview with the guy today that supposedly cut Tyson Fury in the sparring, and he said the cut happened because they were doing dirty boxing. Like Fury was holding his head and he was holding his head, and it was an interesting interview. I forget what platform, and I even forget the guy's name. Begins with an A, I believe. But he said Tyson Fury's cut happened from dirty boxing. So it was a interesting thing. But yeah, I'm interested in seeing his career too. But what you guys think of Fury's cut? You think it was too legit to quit? Do you think it was some Hollywood or Holly weird makeup involved? Some CGI? Do you think he was cut, but that footage wasn't of the actual cut? Um, I'm almost to the point where I believe Fury and Usyk are gonna fight when they're both in the ring. I'm not going for any press conferences or anything like that anymore. It's like my hat is crooked. I got more hats than this, y'all. I haven't got my Jamaican hats back when I had dreads. I had dreads down to my belt, you know. Had them for like 19 years. But why am I talking about my dreads? I just talking now, ain't I? At some point, I'm gonna have to drop a link and let some of you guys come on here and I can hear your voices, see your faces, and you can chop it up with Jay Roos. No truce. I let loose. Fans are Bon Scott says fans are strange, thinking Fury is ducking Usyk. There is no fighter. Waiting for it to move up. Yeah, this is helicopter doing, man. Sounds like Boys in the Hood. There is no fighter fears another fighter since Mike Tyson. Yeah, I don't think Fury is afraid of Usyk, but I did hear Fury say that his toughest fight was against a smaller guy. Like, I don't think Holyfield was necessarily ducking Lennox Lewis. He just knew that style was bad for him. And I think that's what it is with Fury. He's not really ducking him, but if he didn't have to fight Usyk, I don't think he would. I think if there's another way to get those belts, he would do it. Um, Usyk is just a hard guy to deal with. Man, that helicopter is circling, man. Y'all seen Boys in the Hood? I said my high school was like Def Comedy Jam meets Boys in the Hood. It was like super funny. There's a lot of comedians, but it had that. You could tell it was dangerous at the same time. Like lean on me. But man, dude, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Can y'all hear that helicopter? See, I know every hood in California. I know San Diego so well. I used to drive around trying to get lost just to see something different. I'm not too familiar with the Atlanta streets. I think Fury bullies Usyk to win. Push lean. Yeah, I think he has to do a lot of that. I remember Fury was even telling AJ when AJ was about to have his rematch with Usyk, he was saying hit him into the body. So I think Fury will do that. Bon Scott says PBC got eyes in the sky. Be careful. Laugh out loud. I know, huh? Yeah, man. That's a funny comment. Jai Opataya needs to beat Lawrence Akole and unify, and Mauricio Suleiman wants 5 or 6 judges in Fury. Suleiman is wanting Fury to win. Yeah, I kind of wish all these promoters and people would just let the fights play out and stop kind of rooting on or favoring a fighter. Because then if something funny happens in the fight, the first thing you're gonna do is be like, that look fixed, dude. That looks fixed. I remember when Butterbean used to fight on Tuesday night fights. Some of his fights were so choreographed. You could see the fight, the blow miss, and even the crowd would start yelling, fix, fix, fix. And then the announcers would act like they didn't hear the crowd yelling that when you clearly see the punch didn't hit. But yeah, what do you think of Lawrence Okolie? Do you am I saying his last name right? Are you impressed by him? When I've seen him, I was like, I don't know. I can't really get into the dude for some reason. I don't think he really puts people in seats like that. Maybe he does, but I don't know. He doesn't seem to have that presence about him like a Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury. He doesn't seem to have that. Ooh, I gotta run home and go see that fight. Um, I was a big Conor Ben guy, but since he's come back, he hasn't looked quite like the same ferocious fighter. I think he's calling out Tank Davis now. Um, I don't know. And Tank's got to get more active, man. He's a one fight, 2 fights a year ain't cutting it. Ain't cutting it. Not at all. Man, that helicopter is still up there. Ghetto bird for real. I don't even think this the ghetto. 1, 2, hang up. How? Trying to read Stephen S's comment. Yo, Stephen S, you seem to know a lot about boxing, man. You should start you a platform, man. We need more quality channels. 1, 2, hang up. How Usyk can defend. That is a small guy. When he stood next to Fury, he didn't look that small. He even picked Fury up to like show him like how strong he was. I don't think Fury is he weighs a lot more, but I think Usyk's size gets a little, he's not the biggest guy, but he doesn't look small to me. Bon Scott says, have you watched that documentary with Butterbean? The man's body was broken and Diamond Dallas Page helped him rehabilitate. Powerful stuff. Yeah, I started to watch it. The last time I saw Butterbean, he was doing an interview saying he was coming back to fighting and he was in the best shape of his life and he didn't want to tell who he'd be fighting. So I was like, did this happen after he announced his comeback or before? But Diamond Dallas Page has helped a lot of people, man. And yeah, I started watching. I'm gonna have to finish that. Thanks for reminding me. Dragon Lake said I used to like him. Yeah, Usyk is 6'3", around 220-ish. But he always looks bigger than 220 to me. Like He looks taller than 6'3" to me. And if Usyk sat down on his punches, I think he could have way more KOs on his record. You know, he's just more interested in touching you. Stephen S. He's not small, but is I think you mean but is next, but is for Fury. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He's not small, but yeah, next to Fury. Yeah, yeah. In terms of that's what's weird, man, about height. Like Dillian Whyte is listed at 6'4", and then when I saw him face to face with Revis, they looked like they were same height, and Revis is what, 6 feet? I was like, I don't know, man. Height is a strange thing. Tyson was 5'10" or something, not the size of the dog, but the size of the fight in the dog. Yeah, I used to see Mike Tyson listed as 6 feet, and Larry Merchant was saying when they measured Tyson, he was around 6 feet. But I don't know. Tyson doesn't look 6 feet. Like if you look at his arm, like the length of his arms, he looks like David Tua size, like 5'10", 5'9", about that size. But yeah, Tyson knew how to use his size to work for him. And like Teddy Atlas was talking about, for a guy that would be considered short as a heavyweight, he had Mike Tyson had a great jab and a double jab. He didn't use it very. Mike Tyson didn't use his jab as often as I would have liked, but when he used it, he caused problems. And I think a lot of shorter fighters think their arm reach isn't long enough because, like I would say, they measure really your wingspan when it should be like HBO started doing. Armpit to fist is your real length of your arms. I think mine is 25 inches, same as Vladimir Klitschko. So just because the guy's taller doesn't necessarily mean he has a longer reach than you. Because Vladimir Klitschko is taller than me, but I got the same reach. Like Ray Mercer was shorter than Lennox Lewis, but I think, according to Wingspan or something, I think he had the longer reach, and his jab was giving Lennox Lewis problems. So height doesn't necessarily mean you have the shorter reach. So I think a lot of fighters that are shorter think, well, I might as well not jab because I'm shorter and I can't reach him, when that's not necessarily the case. I mean, Stephen S. says if such a big guy makes you constantly carry him, you get tired, lose your legs, and that is a bad situation when it comes to fighting. Yeah, I used to do that even in sparring. I learned that from Lennox Lewis. Bend them, like put your weight on them, makes your legs weak. I remember Evander Holyfield said Lennox Lewis felt like a cement coat when Lennox Lewis would put his weight on him. So yeah, Tyson Fury knows a lot of that, what they might call dirty boxing too, how to put your weight on somebody, weaken their legs, then attack the body. Usyk doesn't seem to like it to the body. I saw recent footage on Counterpunch Boxing News. Again, shout out to Kurt, where Usyk was taking body punches and trying to get his body ready to take those body shots that he knows is coming from Tyson Fury. He might try to block some of those and get out of the way too, and not take. You don't want to take too many shots from a guy that weighs as much as Fury. Bon Scott says, I watched Ali having a fun spar with Cuss, meaning Cuss D'Amato. I see exactly where Tyson got his style from. I watched Ali having a fun spar with Cuss. Oh yeah, I think there's a documentary. I think I have it. Yeah, I've seen that with the black background and they're moving around. Yeah, and they were debating old fighters and stuff like that. Cuss D'Amato had such a great boxing mind. So did Ali, man. Can you imagine being in a room with them back then and just hearing them tell you all type of things? Because Ali never fought real conventional, kind of like Roy Jones. They kind of would fill it out as they go, and and that's what made Ali so special. Customato. That's why I say if Cuss was still here, he wouldn't be for Mike Tyson smoking all this weed and stuff. He'd be like, Mike, like, what are you doing? I think Mike needs to realize that. I don't like to see Mike on his podcast smoking and promoting all that stuff. I like to see disciplined people, especially fighters. I don't like all that outside. Oh, I need this. If you need anything other than the most high, it's a crutch. Say you can't find your vice. What are you gonna do then? Flip out? Or the liquor store's closed. You spaz out. Come on now. Exactly. Mike lost a father and cuss. Yeah. You ever see that classic picture where Mike is giving a Customato a bear hug? I really like that picture. Cuss taught Mike discipline, and that's why Mike was so great in his early career. He was training, training, training. He knew he couldn't give Mike Tyson no free time because he didn't want the streets to get him. Cuss taught discipline, man, and discipline is the gift that keeps giving. And you don't see much of it. You don't see much of it in sports. You don't see much of it in life. Stephen S says, yeah, it was nice. Body shot from Cuss toward Dancing Ali. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that, man. In fact, I used to have that back in the I think the VHS days. I transferred a lot of my VHS stuff over to DVD, but I seen it's on. I noticed it's on YouTube too, so I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. Um, I even like pulling up those old just classic moments between Ali and Howard Cosell. Man, they had some great exchanges, man. It might have seemed like they didn't like each other, but they became maybe they didn't at first, but later they became real close. And man, they had such great chemistry, man. They would just feed off each other, making jokes. And I remember they showed Ali talking to Howard Cosell. Howard said something to you. It what did Howard Cosell say to Ali? he said something about look at me or something. And Ali was like, look at you. He's like, man, I'll slap you. Ali was so quick with it, man. Man, dude. People used to watch his fights. I hear, I was too young really to watch his fights back then, but people used to watch him to see him lose because they thought he had so much mouth. They used to call him the Louisville Lip, but Ali was so entertaining. That's where Stallone got the idea for Apollo Creed. Bon Scott said, if you like to watch old fights, watch My Countryman. Ken, is that Buchanan versus Dern? Is that Dern? Great fight. Oh, I'm going to have to check that out. Is that a heavyweight fight? Yeah, I'm going to have to check that out. Even if it's not heavyweights, I like to see a good fight. Yeah, man. If you like action, have you ever seen a fight? Oh yeah, Roberto Duran, man, that dude, Hands of Stone. They did a movie about him, man. That dude was tough. As Sugar Ray Leonard. Other than the No Moss fight, he had a weak moment. But if you like to see action fights, go check out Ray Mercer versus Burt Cooper. I think Ray Mercer had a broken jaw. Dudes would be getting broken jaws back then, still fighting, man. Can you imagine getting hit hard by a heavyweight with a broken jaw? Ray Mercer and Burt Cooper, man. Tim Witherspoon, Larry Holmes, great fight. Just about any fight with Ray Mercer. Lennox Lewis, Ray Mercer, Evander Holyfield, Burt Cooper. Burt Cooper was a tough guy, man. Tough guy. Razor Ruddock, Tommy Morrison, a great fight. The Tommy Morrison Razor Ruddock knockout is still one of them fights, the knockouts that is hard to watch, man. I think Tommy Morrison said he never even went back and watched it, and I can see why that could damage you psychologically if you want to continue your boxing career. You ain't gonna want to see yourself just on the ropes taking endless shots. That could mess you up. And that fight he was winning before that too. For heavyweights, watch Corey. I remember Corey Sanders. Yeah, didn't he beat Vladimir Klitschko? I think there was another Corey Sanders too. One was black, he was tall, and the other was white. But yeah, Corey Sanders was a tough guy, man. Yeah, I remember him. Yes, indeed. Hear the helicopter in the distance now. I guess they realized I didn't do it. I'm just chilling in the cut. Man, I wish it was summertime. I ain't got no real beaches up here in Atlanta. I never even went to the beach much when I grew up in San Diego. Now I'm like, minute I came to Atlanta, I'm like, man, I miss the beach. Minute you get to Georgia, like, where's the beach, man? They got these little man-made beaches. Like, yeah. I remember my buddy shot a video up here by some water, like a rap video, a couple years ago, and it looked like a swamp. Water was brown. I'm like, man, there ain't no beach. Yeah, then he got beat by the brother. Oh, then he got beat by Vitaly Klitschko. Yeah, I always thought the older Klitschko was the better Klitschko. He was unorthodox. I think his only loss was to Chris Bird because he had that shoulder injury and he couldn't fight anymore. I don't think. I was at the Lennox Lewis Vitaly Klitschko fight at the Staples Center. I was there, man. That was a great fight. Sylvester Stallone was in the building. Layla Ali was on the undercard. Um, yeah, man, that was electric. That was Lennox Lewis's last fight too. That's where I met Coach James Bashir after the fight. I was just hanging around. I was there, and me, my mother, and my best friend, and we were just out there. And Coach James came up talking, and yeah, he remembered me and my mom and my. He remembered us all these years later, man. Coach James, strong mind, man. Yeah, man, if I was a heavyweight, I'd be like, man, just drop some knowledge on me about pugilism. I think Lewis managed or promoted Sanders. Yeah, I think he did because he was in the crowd. I remember that. Yeah, I remember he was in the crowd for that before he started. Before Lennox Lewis started commentating, I believe. I used to like listening to George Foreman. He commentate. He was kind of funny because he would contradict himself a lot. Because I could tell he was trying to be fair and balanced. So he would say something good about a fighter, and then something I guess he didn't think was favorable, but it would cancel out what he just said. I'm like, oh, George, you contradicting yourself, man. But Foreman was a class act, man. Um, class act. I knew his daughter, Frida Foreman. I forget his other daughter. I knew her a little bit, but yeah, George Foreman. Shout out to him. I still got to see that movie, Big George. I can't believe I haven't watched that. Have you guys seen the Big George Foreman movie? Oh, that's speaking of action fights. If you guys want to see a classic fight, go check out George Foreman versus Ron Lyles. You will not be Ron Lyle. That you will not be disappointed. Back and forth, Rocky movie action, Creed movie action. Ron Lyle versus George Foreman. It's a trip too when you go back and watch classic heavyweights. A lot of those guys were not near the weight of today's heavyweights, nowhere near 250. I remember like back then, if you weighed like 230, they're like, oh, he didn't train, he's out of shape. Nowadays, you're hard pressed to find any heavyweight under 230 unless it's Usyk, but he came up from cruiserweight. But dudes back then weren't as much on the scale, but they looked really thick and strong. They looked like they were 250, whether they were or not. When Ali fought George Foreman wasn't no 250, but look how big he was. I don't know. It's like they carried their weight differently and it was distributed differently. Those guys look really strong. I'm trying to think of the guy. There was a heavyweight back then that Lennox Lewis fought early in his career. Weaver. I saw a couple fights, and that dude was looking strong physically, man. Not so much against Lennox Lewis. By that point, I think he was on the tail end of his career. I think it was Mike Weaver, but I saw some of his early fights. I was like, man, that dude looks like Ken Norton. like physique wise. A lot of fighters back then had that Apollo Creed build, man. They had that build where you could tell they just trained and just worked out, trained and ate right, you know. And a lot of times, even if your diet isn't on point, I call it a live it instead of a diet. That's more positive. Think about it. But and think about it. Um, you can overcome if you're what you're eating is not so good. Working out consistently can kind of overcome a lot of that. Look at the diet of prisoners; they're not eating good at all, and you see some of the best physiques you've ever seen coming out of the penitentiary. So, these dudes that want to tell you to eat asparagus tips and 3 grains of rice every day to get swole and be ripped and all that. I mean, yeah, you can, or you can just train hard and moderation. You know, nobody's trying to eat asparagus tips 5 times a day. But I like eggs. They say eggs are the perfect food. I love avocados and eggs and like a nice hamburger too. I like steaks, but I don't like a tough steak. You know? They say if your steak has no marbling in it, it's probably tough. Now how'd I get on steaks, man? I was talking about physiques, and then I got on livets, and that's how I got on the food topic. But yeah, best burger I ever had was, what does it say? What, wagyu? Is that a typo or is that a real bird? Like, well, I'm not familiar with that. If so, I'm gonna have to Google it and try to get that in my life. Man, I had a burger here. I forget from what place, man. They put egg on it. No burgers are better than mine though. But it was a close second, man. It had like egg on it, and man, it was one of those burgers you try to eat slowly. You don't want it to end. Wagyu is a type of cattle heavily marbled. Oh, okay. Thanks for dropping that knowledge on me, man. I'm gonna look into that right when I get off. Wow. Yeah, man. I'll never be a vegetarian, man. That's People think that's a healthy lifestyle. Like the meat has all kind of chemicals. Yeah, they spray chemicals on your crops too, and they found out a lot of vegetarians aren't getting enough fat in their diet. Your brain needs fat, so that can cause some complications too. Oh, thanks, man. Bon Scott dropping knowledge, y'all. Never be to people out there that try to I've never been one of those people that try to act like I know it all, man. If you can tell me something, I'm gonna be like, hey, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I don't like when you talk to people and they always act like they knew that ahead of time. Like, man, you didn't know that. Some people don't like to be told nothing. Those are the kind of people I try to stay away from. You should be able to bounce knowledge off each other, not be like, yeah, I know that. Yeah, man. I read a thesaurus every day. No, you don't. Two steaks you won't be able to do without Wagyu or Black Angus. Oh, yeah, man. There was a restaurant in San Diego called the Black Angus. Man, they had the best baby back ribs, and then the rice pilaf, and then I would get the potato soup with the cheese and the, oh man, dude. They ain't got no Black Anguses here in Georgia, man. You can get good baby back ribs every now and then, but that potato soup with the bacon, cheese, and it. I love cilantro too. I really love cilantro, that flavor. But man, yeah, Black Angus is no joke. Haha, I come for the boxing, leave hungry. I know, huh? I know, man. I'm getting hungry, man. What's the last thing I ate? I'm trying to think. I think I made a egg sandwich with avocado and bacon on it. I know a lot of people be like, you shouldn't eat bacon while they're eating some lettuce with 85 chemicals sprayed on it. All your food has stuff in it that you don't need. That's why you got to pray over your food. Scripture says you'll be able to, if you walk with him anyway, you'll be able to eat any deadly thing and it won't harm you. So I pray over all my food. I need to make you a moderator, Bon Scott. Where did my I'll figure this out. I gotta figure this out, make you a moderator, Mr. Scott. Do you get lentil and bacon soup in the States? Yeah, actually we do. Yeah, we got a lot of soups, man. You know what's some good eating is chicken chicken soup, the creamy kind with grilled cheese, and you dip the sandwich in there. Oh man, that is some good eating right there. That is some good eating. Yeah, man. Speaking of food, I watch a lot of Remember that show, Restaurant Impossible, with Robert Irvine and Dinner Impossible? Cheers, bro. Cheers to you, man. But yeah, I've been watching like reruns of Restaurant Impossible with Robert Irvine. Uh, oh, shout out to Kurt. It looks like he just hit me up on Instagram. Shout out to Kurt from Counterpunch Boxing News. But Chef Irvine was funny. He would tell it like it is. That accent was great. He'd be like, "Do it." I love when the Brits say "in it" because they say it in like in areas where it doesn't really fit. Like, I'm going to the store, isn't it? Like what? What? I just won my fight, isn't it? Like what? Like okay. Right. Man, I can hear my stomach growling. Sound like it was in THX, it was so loud. Bon Scott, he is kind of like the guy from Hell's Kitchen, Gordon Ramsay. Oh yeah, man. That show used to crack me up, man. I think they still come on too. Gordon Ramsay, man. Gordon Ramsay was actually in uh, the dressing room for Anthony Joshua when after his fight with Dominique Brazil. They say Gordon Ramsay really isn't as mean as he acted on the show. And then there was a cooking show with the guy that they said he made Gordon Ramsay cry. Like he was harder than the character anyway of Gordon Ramsay. Yeah, man. Robert Irvine, man, he's corrected a lot of these restaurants and he's fixed a lot of relationships. That's one of the few reality shows I feel is real. A lot of them are scripted. I don't think that show was scripted at all. Nah, man. I got to get some fights. I see Le'Veon Bell, the ex Pittsburgh Steeler running back, boxing, man. I'd love to get a fight with him. I love to box the bodybuilder big boy who was boxing. I don't think he still is. Pierre White is the guy that trained Ramsey, I think. That might be who I'm thinking of. Did he have long black hair? Yeah. He had a show for a while. But yeah, man. Robert Irvine was no joke. He's just going to them restaurants, be like, your carpet is bad, your food is garbage, you can't cook. He would go in there, people eat. He's like, everybody get out. The food isn't sanitary. Yeah, deuces. See you next time. He says, yeah, he's the French guy. Okay, yeah. Yeah, he had a show. I don't know why. I don't. Maybe it stayed on in the UK, but I think it was only on for one season over here in the States. I forget the name of it, but I thought it was an interesting show. Yeah. No more helicopter. Now I hear an airplane. It's a busy day in the skies. You ever watch the Guga Foods guy? If I'm pronouncing that right, I don't know who that is. I'm gonna have to check that out. Let me put in my charger. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that guy out. Is he hardcore like Robert Irvine? A lot of people seem intimidated by Robert Irvine too, because he come in there, all swole with that accent, like seeming military. Think he would intimidate a lot of people with his presence. He's a Brazilian guy, cooks, got a channel cooking steaks in multiple different ways. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up. I used to watch diners, drive-ins, and dives too. A guy, they started giving that guy so many shows. That one where he was in the supermarket with people cooking. I'm like, why do they keep giving one guy so many shows? You can spread it around, spread the wealth, spread the love. He's not the only guy that can cook. Anyway, bro, who you got, Haney or Garcia? I was going, I was going for Garcia. I didn't really know for sure, but I was going for Garcia. He's the puncher, but now from what I hear, how I hear him talking, I don't. Uh, I'm still hoping Garcia can get it together before the fight. Put down the weed. I think that's what Stephen A. Smith used to say. Put down the weed. Definitely put down the liquor. If he can get focused, I got Garcia. If he goes in there not focused, Haney's gonna walk through him, and he might not even get stopped if he goes in there because weed, from what I hear, makes your reaction time. You react slowly. You don't need that with a guy with fast hands. I've never smoked weed a day in my life. Used to go to reggae concerts and it'd be in the air, but I never had a desire for that stuff. And I hear it's laced with so many chemicals nowadays. You don't know what you're smoking. I hear it's not the same weed that people used to smoke in the '60s and '70s. Everything got chemicals. Boy, sounds like he got some sort of psychosis. Yeah, even just looking at Ryan, man, I gotta pray for dude. I don't know. He just seemed like he's something's going on. He seems real tense, and I know boxing is hard because especially in the era of, he's so big on social media. You're constantly getting scrutinized and looked at, and people are making assessments of you all the time. I know it. I know it's not easy, but hey, you signed up for it. The other fighters are dealing with it. So if you need help, go to them. Ask them, how are you guys dealing with all the pressure? Don't be too macho to ask for help, you know? And because it's gonna look bad for him to do all this pushing and hollering and yelling before the fight or at a press conference, and then on the night of the fight you get stopped. That's gonna look. I mean, he had an excuse against Tank where he said he was dehydrated and he knew in the dressing room he said he knew he wasn't going to win because he felt weak. So I'll give him a pass on that. I feel like he quit. Devin Haney called him a quitter. But hey, you still got to move on. Even if you quit, you still want a boxing career. You have to keep going. You don't know what you can become if you stop. You got to keep going no matter what. Did a video about that years ago about constantly going. You got to just keep going, man. It's like Lennox Lewis, my favorite fighter of all time, used to say, he said how his career was like a road. You got your potholes, your hills, your valleys, but there's some curves, and you just gotta navigate your way through it, and you'll find success. I never liked the saying, what is it where they say the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing expecting different results. That's not the definition of insanity. You know how many people became successful because they kept doing the same thing until they kicked the door down? Look at how many free throws or jump shots Michael Jordan used to practice until he got it down. What if he said, "No, I'm gonna stop because if I keep doing this, I'm gonna be labeled as insane." Sometimes you gotta just keep doing the same thing and plug away. Other times you do have to adapt, but there's all these sayings people repeat. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Okay, cool. Do you watch strongman comps? Arnold's at the weekend in Ohio. Oh, the Arnold. Okay, I didn't know that. But yeah, I used to watch those strongman competitions, man. Them dudes be strong, 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 man. They used to always be on ESPN back in the day. I haven't seen ESPN in so long, except their platforms on YouTube. But yeah, so the Arnold Classic, huh? And then when I was growing up, it was Lou Ferrigno, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Rick Drayson, who I was friends with. He had his own platform on YouTube. Rick Drayson was Arnold Schwarzenegger's training buddy, and you know, he played the middle Hulk in the old TV show, The Incredible Hulk. Where the Hulk was transforming. He was the middle guy, while David Banner was turning to the Hulk. He was like the in between Hulk. But yeah, you ever seen the movie Pumping Iron with Arnold Schwarzenegger? The only reason Rick Drayson wasn't in that is I forget his reason why he wasn't in Pumping Iron. But Pumping Iron, I believe, is on YouTube or Amazon. You had two of the best in Bill Kazmaier and Brian Shaw. Okay, I'm gonna try to keep that in mind, man. Yeah, I used to watch that. What was that show A&E or AMC had on back in 2014 about arm wrestling, Game of Arms or something like that? I wish that show would come back. I like watching all that stuff like arm wrestling and all that. Half Gore is my favorite strongman. Wow, you guys really follow this, huh? I'm gonna have to go familiarize myself with these guys because I like watching that kind of stuff. I even used to like watching ABC Superstars where it'd be like NFL players doing obstacle courses against track stars and baseball players. They'd all see who's the best athlete. They do a half-mile run. Lennox Lewis was on there against some football players, and they lift weights so you can lift the most. Eddie Hall is okay. Dragon Lake says, "Yeah, man, those strongman competitions. I think all them dudes are what close to 300 pounds or over, right? Can you imagine their diet? You know, they're not just eating lettuce and asparagus tips, huh? Hap Hapther is the guy that I'm trying to read the rest. Probably pronouncing these names wrong. Forgive me for that, y'all. This is the guy that played the Mountain in Game of Thrones. I never saw Game of Thrones. I know it was a popular show. I might have seen him in a commercial, but I never watched Game of Thrones. I know it was real popular at one point, though. Lou Ferrigno, who I was talking about, played the Incredible Hulk back in the day. Can you imagine standing in a makeup chair for hours while they paint your body green? Eddie Hall and Hafter fought over 500 kg deadlift. Ooh, man, man. I've never been a fan of deadlifts. They always look dangerous. I've seen people really get injured because a lot of them are lifting with their back and not putting their legs into it. You got to really know your technique. Some people even do that hold where they put one hand like that, one hand up, one under. Uh, I've seen John Jones lift a lot. I've seen a lot of guys lift a lot of weight like that. But yeah, I watch it. I watched what does it say? Abdullah Mason looking for the smoke with Kid Austin. Prospect versus prospect. Who you got? I like Kid Austin. Um, from what I've seen, he's a real solid looking guy. I don't know the Mason guy he's fighting, so I can't really make an assessment of it. But from what I've seen of Kid Austin, he looks like he has a bright future. I first saw Kid Austin on Joey Stacks YouTube channel when the bodybuilder Joey Stacks was trying to learn how to box. He went to a gym and Kid Austin was down there in the same gym, working with him and his dad and all that. Says Hall nearly died lifting 500 kg. Trying to read the rest. Yeah, that's a lot of weight, man. I know he felt it the next day too when he was trying to get out of bed. You can really jack your back up good doing that. Half Haftor beat him by 1 kg. Laugh out loud. Keep an eye on the careers of Adam Azim and Hansa Shiraz from the UK. Wow, you guys really know your stuff. Bon Scott in the building, y'all. So all them tough man, and I said tough man, not the tough man competition. So all those dudes in strongman, I'm assuming they're all juiced up, right, to lift that kind of weight. Yeah, Joey Stacks, man. Yeah, Joey. It's half toward the mountain man. Okay. Yeah, I used to watch a lot of bodybuilding platforms. You know what I like? I like to watch these bodybuilders go grocery shopping just to see what they're eating. I did one video on my platform right here a long time ago where I was grocery shopping at Publix. You have to see Haftor versus Eddie Hall boxing match. What's funny, I feel like I might have seen a bit of it, but okay. Best fight I ever saw was two girls in high school. They are vicious. Yeah, yeah, they just swing, man. They don't care about looking pretty. I saw one on YouTube, man. This girl was getting her head just, I mean, ooh, these girls don't play, man. They don't play around. A lot of these girls are tougher than the guys nowadays. Yeah, I remember I told this story on one of my West Coast story playlists here on YouTube. I went to a rough high school called Lincoln High, and Southeast San Diego, full of Bloods and gang members. I was in class, and these two gang members just started going at it, man. I mean, this one dude hit this dude so hard in the jaw. I mean, it almost sounded like it echoed. I mean, the one dude was talking trash or whatever. After that, man, it was like he was cool. He was like probably was getting A+ grades after that beating, man. He got, as they call, stole on, man, just pow. And then one time, I talked about this too in one of my West Coast stories. I was in class, this big old Samoan dude and this um, girl used to joke around every day, like they used to play so tough with each other. I was like, somebody's gonna get mad one day because they used to tease, but they tease, they go too far. And I don't know what she said this one day, but we looked around and this dude was literally choking her. I thought he was joking. This dude was literally choking her. He was like this, and she's like, she couldn't breathe. I was like, so they had to. I think they got security and people trying to pull him off her. He's a big old Samoan dude, and she was a tiny little thing. But I guess she went one joke too far that day. He had had enough. I was like, man, my high school was crazy, man. I remember first day at that school, they put a perm kit on my teacher's desk. They threw like a book up on the at the chalkboard. Two of my friends at the time, Dorian, he came in, security behind him. He just busted through the door in class, started shaking everybody's hand, like while security's like, come here, come here. He's like, oh, what's up, man? What's up, homie? Yeah, what's popping, man? It's like, wow. I was like, this school is interesting. Never a dull moment. You gotta check out um Speak Real Truth on Big. Yeah, I've seen, yeah, I know, yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, man. Yeah, I've called out Big Boy so many times to box, but he's got a huge platform. I don't have a huge platform so far, so but man, if I could ever, my dude Viking Samurai is having a boxing match, celebrity boxing match, the day after Joshua Ngannou, March 9th in Atlantic City. Um, there's a couple dudes on that card ain't celebrities, so I'm like, man, I wish I could get on that card. I ain't no celebrity, at least not yet, but I would love to get on that card, man. I would love to fight Le'Veon Bell, Big Boy. Um, wish I had a huge platform, but I could for Jake Paul, but he weighs too little for me. I'm like 260, so I could never fight Jake Paul. That dude would get rolled up so fast. And they couldn't pay me to take a dive. You ain't gonna pay me to take a dive. I would fight for free. I just love boxing, man. I always love fighting. Speaking of fighting, shout out to the homie Chill from Southeast San Diego. Notorious Hands. The homie chill. Yeah, John Fury's looking for a fight. Joe Egan wanted to fight him. I did a video about that. John Fury wanted to fight Mike Tyson. Sometimes I feel like John Fury just be talking, like he just likes to hear himself talk. Sometimes I like the guy, but I don't think he really serious. I seen a picture of him taking a selfie where it looked like he was in pretty good shape though. But man, I would love to fight John Fury, man. Like man, like I said, I would do it for free. I really would. That's how much I love boxing. First boxing match I ever went to was Lennox Lewis versus Lionel Butler at the then Arco Arena in Sacramento, California. Right when I walked in and saw the ring all lit up like a stage, I was like, oh man, it was like that was just man. Dragon Lake says, "Oh yeah, you like Viking Samurai's channel? Yeah, real cool guy. I took some photos with him when he was just here about a month ago. Him and Tim Witherspoon were up here um, at the gym, and yeah, real cool. Yeah, I like Viking Samurai, man. Real cool guy. We took some photos, talked. Um, People were constantly talking to him, so I didn't even get a chance. I wanted to interview him for my platform, though. I usually go to his live streams. Yeah, Viking Samurai got a fight March 9th on Celebrity Boxing in Atlantic City. If you're out that way, definitely go check it out. I wish I could attend it. Maybe I might go live for that fight. I gotta find out, get the details on what network it's on. Definitely gotta support the homie Viking Samurai. Steven Seagal even got his back, man. He did a phone call with Steven Seagal on his platform, and Steven talks just like he does in the movies. He has that kind of slow whispering, like he really talks like that. Bon Scott says, "Did you watch Dubois versus Brian?" Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, yeah. Brian looked. I think Trevor Bryan didn't he retire? If not, I think he needs to. I like his trainer, Stacy McKinley. He knows a lot. I wasn't a Stacy McKinley guy back in the day because I thought he had too much mouth. I remember he tried to shout down Lennox Lewis at the Tony Tucker press conference. But it says, "Did you watch Dubois versus Bryan? Look like a scene from GTA Don King 80s special." Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, that was a. I don't know. Some fighters I don't get like Trevor Bryan. They never seem to come in fights looking like they're in shape. I'm like, this is your only profession. Like your job is to stay in shape and be ready to fight at all moments. You never know if you're gonna get a call and have to fight somebody like Ruiz Joshua. He got that call. And someone say, well, that's a bad example because Ruiz wasn't in shape for Joshua and look what he did. Yeah, but once again, that's the exception to the rule, not the that's not how it usually goes. So you want to stay in shape. Like they say, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So you never know what call you could get. You might get a call to step in for Usyk or Fury, and you want to be ready. But Trevor Bryan just looked like basically a dude. Not trying to diss the dude at all, but he just didn't look like a dude that gave his all physically, and you hate to see that. But I've been on here a while. Guess I'm talking about all this food. Guess I'm gonna go see what I can get to eat. And I appreciate Bon Scott, Stephen S, and everybody that tuned in. Make sure you beat down the like button, comment, share, subscribe. LSR forever, and be fearless. Yeah.